Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Starcraft 2. My name is Zuroi, joined by Tao, of course, my best friend. He wanted to share a Pringle with me, and I said, no, that's not about me. I'm not going to eat your Pringle.
I appreciate that gesture.
So we're just waiting for Bellator versus Ross now as EVP. So again, we saw that in our first series, but I reckon this will be a completely different story. With Fugaro versus Fujumi, Fugaro was trying to whack out the crazy build in Game 1 with the drone rush. Didn't quite get enough economic damage done, but Fujumi just completely outclassed Fugaro in the end there with the Oracles, the Adepts, shaving off all the drones. This time around though, the Zerg player Bellator is the favourite, so we're going to have to see how that changes the dynamic of the game. Both these players play a lot with each other. Oi oi. They're both on the same team RD, so they are practice partners. So, you know, again, they're quite similar in MMR, so I reckon it'll be a bit touch and go who's going to take this. Bellator is the favourite on paper, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
Both of them take games off each other. They practice a lot. They do practice games a lot. They do customs. They know each other fairly well. They're in Discord, you know, a fair amount of time, a fair amount of evenings. They're both on there talking and playing and practicing.
Yeah.
They're about as you know, as far as teammates go, they're about as close as you can get in terms of knowing what your opponent could possibly throw at you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So there could be some metagaming involved here.
Yes, absolutely.
Which could be very interesting to see.
So I understand RosscO to be a very straight up, straightforward macro player, but I've definitely seen him try out these crazy builds like a proxy forged 3 gates.
Yeah, he does have it in him.
Build.
He does have it in him to throw something completely wild out there. He does like his standard builds that he knows very well. He's very good at executing his preferred builds. So that's what he does, I would say, most of the time. But like you say, he does definitely have the capacity and the ability to just make something up on the fly, as it were, and find out, you know, see if Bellator will respect it.
We saw Fujimi open up Stargate both games off of 2-base as a tech choice. Do you think we'll see that again this series, or do you think that RosscO is going to try and mix up with the Twilights, or even with the Robo first?
I think Robo first would be quite a rare thing to see. Okay. I think Twilight or Stargate is more likely. I know RosscO does like his Twilight openings, particularly with Adepts. So we should see at least one game. I would expect to see that. But
what about the Adept All-In? I understand that Adept Shade, the Adept Glaive even upgrades. If you go for an All-In with that, you can just massacre drone lines.
You can, and if you, so that really puts the onus on the Zerg to defend that well. It's much easier to execute that than defend. So if we do see that build, then that will come down to, because like I said, RosscO he has his builds that he executes really well consistently. That's one of them. So if Bellator does come up against that, it will be more how he deals with that threat than the execution from RosscO, I feel, because that will be crisp and it'll hit on time.
Yeah.
So I know Zerg players can just get overwhelmed when you've got Adept shading into every mineral line. And
it's so difficult to play tennis with a really good Adept player.
Yeah.
You're just going backwards and forth, one base to another base to another base, and you get another wave of 8 more Adepts being walked in from a warp wisdom you can't yet see across the map.
So we are waiting for these players. We believe
I think they're just getting their vetoes done now, so hopefully we'll get into lobby soon.
I'm expecting the more wacky maps to be vetoed here. I would expect to see the straight up maps.
EXO was talking about a map called Grazvan, which is where the Protoss player can't fully wall off with 3 buildings.
Yes, so I expect that to be vetoed straight away.
Okay.
As most Protoss players, if it was a non-Zerg matchup, then you might see a Protoss player play it. But because of PvZ and how the wall works there, if it's any non-standard kind of wall that requires more buildings than usual, it's just not really going to see play in a tournament like this.
Is Bellator capable of just putting out a Speedling all-in, do you think? Is that part of his repertoire?
He does have his aggressive builds.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head whether that's one of them. It could certainly be possible.
I just know that, particularly in Red Dragons, there are a bunch of them that have a very particular flavour of cheese. I'm thinking of Wise Man, Cow, or also known as Righteous. I'm just wondering if perhaps they were inspired by Bellator, or if Bellator's taken inspiration from them and has incorporated that into his own his own play pattern.
It could certainly be, or we could be harking back to the classic days of #ThanksSavage. That could also be an inspiration of these these young.
It took us about 2 hours to get a thank you Savage in there.
Had to be done. Had to be done.
I'm surprised it took that long, to be honest.
Still just waiting on some information on the vetoes here at the moment.
Yeah.
Just to provide some context as well for our viewers, we both Zeroy and myself are in Red Dragon, so we do know these players quite well.
Yes,
as well as knowing what they may or may not do. Looks like the vetoes are on the way shortly. We're just figuring things out now. As we think of things to say while this is being done.
Yes,
What would you like to see out of this match? I know you're a Terran player, so PvZ isn't...
Personally, out of both players, I think they're both very good in the medium to late mid game. So I'd like to see both matches. I'm hoping it's not a 2-0. I'd like to see a 2-1.
I would as well. 2-1 would be a fair result.
But I'd like to see all of our games go to that length where you can start to see the skill expression of both players. I'd rather not see a player lose rock, paper, scissors. That's pretty boring for the viewer. But particularly, you know, as soon as the players start to get into the stage of the game where your multitasking is really taxed and you can really start to appreciate the mechanics of these players, that's what I want to see. Of course, there is some room for maneuver in that if you have a strategy that is aggressive, doesn't necessarily kill the player, but still gets a lot of economic damage done, and you can transition out of it nicely, that's also really nice to see. I just don't want to see a 12-pull fail and then Seb loses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think we'll see... Is it the PvZ special at the moment with like the hour-long sky toss?
No,
that's the other possibility at the other end.
I despise that playstyle, honestly.
Hope you got your water ready for a nice long PvZ series.
I might just send a gopher. As soon as I see a fleet beacon, yeah. And then again, I don't know if Ross is that kind of style of player.
I think he will take a game to that kind of
length.
If he feels that's his best chance of winning. Depends how the mid game goes.
Yeah.
He does like to try and end games either way in the mid game.
Yeah.
But he will absolutely go to the late game if necessary.
In fairness, I think there is quite a lot of skill appreciation for the late game when you have the spell casters, the Infestors, the Vipers, versus the High Templar, Disruptors, Sentries, etc. So there is something to be said about the late game. It's just when you see lots of carriers and it's all in a big ball in the clump, you're just thinking, oh, God.
It's not the most engaging as a viewer.
No.
To watch an hour-long slog of PvZ, where it's just trading energy for interceptors and that kind of thing. Hopefully it doesn't get to that.
I'm thinking in particular, I forget which tournament this was, a game between Scarlet and French Protoss player. It wasn't DNS. Drogo. Drogo, yeah. And Drogo asked for a draw because they literally split the entire map. And then Scarlet said no, she wants to carry on playing because she was just shaving off interceptors, a carrier here, a Tempest there, because of the Viper efficiency, the forest of spore crawlers. And so, you know, although it's interesting to watch to the extent that you can appreciate the skill involved, because it takes so long, it's like death by a million paper cuts.
Yep.
It's just painful to watch.
It looks like we are getting invited to a game now, so we should have some actual StarCraft content coming very shortly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you have to look away from our pretty faces when we're in game.
I know, but that's a good thing for the viewers of casting. Worry not.
In fairness, they came here to watch StarCraft, not to watch two buddies talk gas. So we are in a lobby. Seb has been invited. I think he's just gone out of another game there. So, interesting to see what the maps will be. I think they're just doing vetoes now, which is why Seb isn't accepting the invite.
Vetoes now, okay.
Seb and Ross are sat essentially back-to-back, so they can just turn around and do the vetoes that way. That's one of the good things about Epic now, is the fact that you just have these aisles of people playing games all the time, and the atmosphere is just electric. It is buzzing.
It is. There's all the other games as well. It's not just StarCraft. There are other games here, and you can hear... You know, when other players get a kill in Valorant.
You can hear. It's the CS:GO players. You can hear the CS:GO players. Let's not beat about the bush here. It'll be more obnoxious tomorrow as well when people start to get knocked out. The big prize money is on the line. So Starcraft guys tend to be a bit more quiet, a
It's
bit
a
more
1v1.
reserved,
It's
a
a
bit more
difference between
respectful and
a one-
sophisticated, some might say. A bit
different
more
between
intelligent.
a 1v1 game and a team game, right? You got
Yes.
your teammates hyping you up.
Yes.
You got your teammates blaming you for a
Yeah,
loss,
yeah.
obviously, because that's what happens in
Yeah.
team games.
Yeah.
Whereas us 1v1 players like to walk up and do a nice little handshake after
Very
a
good,
match.
very good game, sir.
Very good
Yes.
game.
Bit like,
Excellent,
bit like
yes.
chess, some might say.
Yes, a very respectful.
Could you
game.
imagine Magnus Carlsen going, "Go soon!" smashing the board as he wins the game?
Shouting expletives. And
Yeah, yeah. Let's go. No, I couldn't imagine that at all. Okay, so it looks like Seb is just on the lobby, and we'll see the vetoes going now. So let's talk a bit more about some of the other games then.
So we do have after this game Eiger against AC.
Yes.
This will be the match after Bellator RosscO, which is another PVZ. Eiger being one of our 2 foreign players at this Epic LAN.
I mean, Ireland, does it count?
Yeah, it's a totally separate country.
It is, but is Mix Northern Irish, or is he from Republic of Ireland?
That is a good question. I don't know.
I don't know either.
No.
I think he's Northern, but I could be completely wrong on that. But yes.
Either way, Eiger is an Irish Protoss who has made the epic journey over the English Channel
Yes.
to Kettering to play AC.
It's a pilgrimage.
Who is a former Codes champion as well, AC. So that should be a
He
decent match.
It was a long time ago, Mike.
Long time ago, but
A lot of
history
water under the bridge
remembers the
since
victors.
then.
Yes.
Yes. Another time, another era, another AC.
Another AC.
Yeah, a different AC back then. All right. So it looks like we are going for a map called Ancient Cistern first, followed by Babylon second and Royal Blood third. So it looks like Grazvan
Has been vetoed. Yep.
as predicted. So both players sending each other the love hearts. A lot of love to be had in the room for the Dragons.
This is a team game.
No.
As we just
I'm just letting them know that they can make the lobby whenever they want. I'm not going to do it for them.
as we are on camera trying to entertain our lovely Starcraft community.
Doing our best. And hopefully not failing.
Maybe we get it all right this time.
All right, we're getting into the lobby now. I forget what the map was first. Ancient Cistern, there we are. Particularly interesting looking map. Lots of ramps, lots of choke points. Difficult for the Zerg to get wraps around, but then again, if you come in at the right angle, maybe you can. Okay. Both players are ready. We are also ready. Countdown has started, and we're about to get into
We're
the
about
game.
to get into some Starcraft again.
Some high-level Starcraft.
High-level
Some
Starcraft.
big-brain Starcraft. Might actually be able to learn something from these two.
That would be lovely. Let's find out.
Yes, yeah. All right, let's jump on into the game then. There we are. Spawning in the bottom left as the green Protoss player. For Red Dragons, it is RosscO.
And in the top right of Ancient Cistern Ellie, also representing Red Dragons, it is Bellator. / Desolator, as it turns out his in-game name is.
Yes, that is going to get very confusing. I've only ever called him Seb.
So yes, Bellator has three names that you may hear during this cast. He could be called Desolator, Bellator, or Seb.
Yes.
That's who we're referring
They
to.
will be used interchangeably, unfortunately. Unlucky viewers, you're the ones who have to keep up.
RosscO is very easy because he uses the same name in every game he ever plays. And we know who we're talking about with RosscO, so that's going to be nice and easy. Not got any early pool shenanigans. We have drones in production to begin with, so this is all fairly standard.
Yep. Bellator going for the third base as his natural expansion after the Protoss sent his probe over to the second base. Seeing there's no base there, the probe goes back in, checking for an early pool, but there's nothing to be seen, so you can probably infer that the hatchery is somewhere else.
Yep, RosscO's comfortable in this position. I've seen him stream many games on Discord. He encounters this where the Zerg puts his natural or first expansion in the third base location, and that's totally normal. He is going to go to the wrong third base first.
Yeah.
Might cause a slight panic just to begin with.
Yeah, just in case it is a proxy hatch. But then again, you know, I don't know how much RosscO's build changes if there's not a hatchery at either third location. He may end up cancelling the Nexus to be able to get a full wall off. But we're talking about hypotheticals here. Ultimately, that's not what's happening. He sees the second base going down at the third location, and so I am being messaged by someone. Hello, Fujimi. So, ultimately, that's not what's happening. Yep. So RosscO is just going to build his natural wall off with the cyber core, and eventually another base.
Yep, all fairly standard.
He's keeping a probe up here. Could this be a proxy bit of tech?
I reckon you could be correct. This is highly unusual.
Proxy
we have a
Stargate.
So this is something that Ross doesn't do all that often.
No.
To be fair.
I don't know how Seb is going to try and see this either. He's got an Overlord spotting the front, and he sees there's no tech put down here. But oftentimes tech can be put down in the main base, including a Stargate. So this Overlord will get in there eventually.
Yeah, normally the second pylon would be in the base, and Seb's got no way of sort of assume. You know, he's got no reason to think that isn't the case at the moment.
Yeah. Bearing in mind though, although this is cheeky by Ross, it's not necessarily cheesy. Okay, this could still just be a macro thing. He might go for an Oracle, harass the drone line, and then just slowly take a third base with his own bit of econ expansion.
Yeah, no Overlord pillar in a decent position on this map, as I've just learned. It's a.
I think there is a spot. Yeah, you can see the spot here for the Overlord. He's going to see
so
this.
It can only see one gas at the natural, or can it see both?
Yeah,
gases?
you can see one.
Oh, he sees the second.
He only needs to move this slightly over to the left to be able to see the second gas. He knows it's being built anyway.
So we have the Oracle just finishing now. So this is going to hit super early unless we wait for the second.
He's chronoing out the second. So it looks like he's going to try and surprise Bellator with 2 Oracles coming in at once.
There are some scouting lings coming in.
Yeah, scouting lings, but note how there's no Spore Crawler on any base.
There are none in production.
Yeah.
He has a Roach Warren coming. He does have... How many queens does he have? Does he have enough queens?
He has 3 queens with 2 more on the way. So this is just
so
standard out of Zerg. But obviously, because he hasn't scouted anything, he's sending the Overlord in now, but he's not going to see any bit of tech. Obviously, there's a Twilight Council on the way, but this is way too late to be the first bit of tech. So there should be some alarm bells going. He sees the Oracles coming in, but obviously it's too late now. There are no Spore Crawlers in any of the base. Free reign for the Oracles. Let's see how much damage this gets. 4, 5, 6, 7, and counting.
8, 9,
so much damage. The Queens are way out of position. They were over on the third base trying to spread creep.
Bellator did not expect this at all.
Absolutely not.
This is some almost game-ending damage now. 29 workers to 38.
Yeah.
Bellator is now severely behind in this game and has to make a comeback of some description.
Bellator, once again, absolutely capped on his economy. He's having to really rebuild those drones and build spores and potentially build some other buildings as well. At the same time, RosscO going for charge. I'd expect to see a lot of gateways. He's floating a lot of minerals. He's going to explode, I think, and go for a 2-base charge all in.
I think you're right. This is not going to be a long game. This is going to be over either way very, very soon. We're going to wait for charge. There's going to be a few gateways being built.
Oh, no.
So this is interesting. I believe this is going to be a decoy nexus.
You think?
Yes.
Okay,
I don't see why you would get charge and a third at the same time.
Obviously, RosscO's done a lot of economic damage.
He's not building probes. Just to make that clear as well. No probes are in production now.
You're right. No probes in production. I was just thinking, Ross killed so many drones. How are you going to punish that? Because if you don't punish that, the Zerg is just going to rinse the drones production as much as they can and then get back in the game that way. Because obviously Zerg production is just unstoppable in the late game. The Oracle's coming back in again, but with Queens and Spore on location, there's not a lot they can do, not even with a stasis ward. So
I would expect to see more gateways than 5 come down. How many are we on now? Here we go, there we go.
6 gates coming down.
6 now coming down. We are going to have a fast warp in at this side of the map. So this is still going to be... I still believe this is a decoy. This is a decoy nexus. It's been cancelled. So that nexus has been cancelled.
No, it's still in production. Oh, no. It got cancelled, but...
Here?
Oh, okay.
So that's been cancelled twice. I'm not sure, I'm not sure why. I do know RosscO, and I do think that is a decoy nexus.
Yeah, but did Seb see that the third base was cancelled?
It looks like he has, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But obviously, this is going to be that charged 2 base all in.
So what is Bellator's response to this? So he's building
Well,
roaches. He has +1 melee on the way.
Yeah, he's jumped up to 66 workers, so he did have that free reign for a while
He
now.
has
For the past
30
couple of
army
minutes to
supply.
drone
This
up.
is not enough army supply, I don't think, at this point for
No,
Bellator.
5 oracles. That's a lot of damage, even with queens.
That's an oracle. What does Bellator have to defend this?
At the moment, not a lot.
He's
These
just
links
losing
just
units
get
for
pushed
free.
into the meat grinder, and army supply is massively in RosscO's favour.
These oracles are just going to clean up. There is nothing to deal with these oracles.
Queens are having to retreat. Drones are being pulled off the line. They're all going to get decimated once again. So those drones that were rebuilt, they're gone. These oracles now focusing down the queens. Queens go down one by one. There's very little anti-air to deal with this. He needs to go all the way back to the spore crawlers. But in the meantime, the ground army, the Protoss player, is just rinsing the infrastructure here for the Zerg. And Protoss is just stepping up one by one. Queens going down. Drones going down. Roaches getting picked off. You see the funnel here? The chargelets are being funneled into this awkward position, but there's just not enough
It's not going to
Zerg.
be enough. Even if this attack is defended, the amount of economic damage that has been done already is catastrophic.
It is giant. Just look at the worker leads being eaten into. Roaches are still in the production tab, and to be fair, one oracle's gone down. This spore crawler is still alive, and it is dishing out their DPS onto the aliens of the Protoss.
No more workers are going down here. This is all army versus army here. None of the workers are going.
Yeah.
The workers are just starting to fall now. It looks like.
In fairness, the third base has been picked off now, so that's why the reinforcements is only just getting here for the Protoss player. But once again, I just don't see how the Zerg holds on. I think this is critical damage now. There's just not enough roaches. Sure, there's 6 in the production, but they're not here yet. Drones are going down. GG is called. Ross takes the first game.
With a very unexpected proxy Stargate strategy there.
Yes, it absolutely caught Seb off guard. There were no spores, no queens in the main base, picked off 10 drones, and before you know it, slam all down all the gateways, warp in all the chargelets.
RosscO likes his mid-game builds, but
Yeah,
he is happy to throw these in every now and then.
Even that attack at the end there completely caught Seb off guard. 5 oracles picked off 2 or 3 queens before any roaches were even on the front line. The Lings got fed into the meat grinder then at the start as well, off of creep. Drones went down as they were transferring back to the natural. There was no spore at the third base mind, so the oracles had a complete free reign to dish out their DPS. Once the oracles were in the natural, the spore was there to hold on a little bit, but it was just too little too late.
Yeah, ultimately that was Bellator just didn't know what was coming. That was what it was.
Caught completely off guard with his pants
The decoy
down.
nexus fooled him.
Yes, it looks like it did, because I don't think that Overlord saw the cancelled nexus. And obviously, if you see a probe there and a pylon there and some units going to the third base, Seb might assume that Ross is going for that third base because he had that snippet of information.
That's why it is. So yeah, you build that nexus, you try and fool your opponent into thinking you're expanding, but in reality you've got more than 7 gateways that have just completed in your base. You cancel that, that's 3 more zealots. That could be the difference in a game.
As Sun Tzu once said in The Art of War, you must make your enemy think you're far away when actually you're close, and you must make him think that you're close when you're actually far away. That's exactly what Ross did.
Did he
Denial
really
of
say
information. He actually did say that.
Wow.
I'm not pretentious.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, we're actually in game now into the second game. We're on Babylon this time. So, spawning in the bottom right as the green Protoss 1-0 up, as soon as I can do this, is the green Protoss player, RosscO.
And in the top left of Babylon LE, playing as representing Red Dragons, currently 1-0 down, or 0-1 down in this best of 3, we have Desolator / Bellator / Seb.
Bellator / Desolator / Seb hasn't got the same ring to it as just saying Desolator or Bellator. But again, I'm going to really look forward to see what either player whacks out the bag here. Looks like it's going to be a very quick hatch first out of the Zerg.
Probe's already there, so it's going to go
absolutely
down to a third again.
Repeat of the last game. For now, let's see what tricks the Protoss has up his sleeve. Pretty simple gateway. Again, it's going to be a fast expand. Ross, seeing that there's no hatchery here, going to go up, check for an early pull, see no early pull, then check for a third base. Same as before.
Oh, we've managed to delay the gas a little bit, which is
Yeah, but
just a little bit annoying.
Bellator could easily just take the top right gas.
But even that's a huge amount of, like, that makes Zergling's speed, for example, finish a few seconds later than it should.
Yeah.
That could be big.
It's at the moment it's slightly annoying. You are right that there may be a very small window where Ross can do some damage before speeds, but.
Does that not these kinds of delays though, when a probe or another worker blocks buildings, it starts the mental games, right?
Well, it's just about efficiency. If you have the APM to deny something for a few seconds, then why would you not do it? Like, you just have to force a bit more effort out of your opponent, because otherwise, if you can just get slight leads over time, it snowballs into a big lead in the mid game that can then swing the game. So, you know, ultimately, I think this is only a small little few second tease. It shouldn't result in a massive lead here for Ross, but
the early mind games go to RosscO for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So is there an overlord? I don't even know this map that well. It doesn't look like there's an overlord pillar. Is that an overlord pillar just where the mouse is now?
I'm actually not sure if it's here. This looks like there's a gap here, but I could be wrong. Maybe some one of these little features here that the overlord can hang.
Possibly, yeah.
But I mean, it's Adept first anyway, so Adept's going to crawl across the map.
Very standard build, There's nothing out of the ordinary just yet. No, we do have a Twilight first this time. There was a first bit of tech in base.
In the main base. So again, this second Overlord coming into the main is going to try and scout it out. I'm interested to know if Seb is going to go for blind spores this time, knowing that Ross can proxy a Stargate.
So I am going to be expecting an Adept-based build here.
Yeah.
If
do you
there's
think
anything
it
else,
could be
I'd be quite
Glaves?
surprised.
We mentioned this before in the pre-game
absolutely. I believe Glaves is going to drop quite soon.
I mean, we see the Twilight Council finish and another gateway drop. So this could just be some kind of gateway. Oh, it's almost like I'm psychic. We called it, we said it was good, and there it is. Glaive build on the way. And we're going to see a gradual explosion of gateways here. There's not enough economy to just build 7 at a time like Ross did last time.
I would expect to see a robo drop relatively soon. We'll get that warp prism for the nice Adept warp prism glaive play.
But once again, we actually see a Stalker out here to deny this Overlord, and I don't think the Overlord's going to get in far enough to be able to see the Twilight Council.
RosscO's going to have to deal with this.
Yeah,
this Adept's going to die.
Lings are going to get in, it looks like. Ooh, looks like that Adept finished just in time to keep the wall blocked off. So no Zerglings are going to get in. I was convinced that Seb was going to get a sneak in.
I don't think Seb has scouted that there's a Adept build here.
No, he hasn't seen anything. He saw this last time.
And there is some proxy buildings down here.
Yeah, more gateways.
To the left side of the map here.
It looks like Ross is going for something similar as he did last game. Catch Seb completely off guard with an off-the-wall type build. Seb doesn't know what's going on, so he's going for the blind spores. But I completely understand that. Do not blame them at all. The Stalker's gone down off the high ground here, so this Overlord's going to get in and see everything, bar the proxy gates mines. But he sees the extra pylons going down. He sees, I think, 4 gates total and a Twilight Council.
Now.
He sees 4 gates.
This could also mean Dark Templar, right? So
it could
RosscO is a Dark Templar player. He's not afraid to throw those out.
6 roaches on the way. He understands that with 4 gates off 2 base and the Twilight Council, you've got to prepare for something.
I think he is scared of DTs here. He's building more spores. We don't have a lair, to my knowledge. So I think we have no ability to morph overseers here. So the only defense is...
Here's all of those Adepts. They 2-shot Queens. The Shady comes to the main base. The Queen's having to kite back, but it looks like the Shady's going to finish in the main base. And there they are. But they're surrounded by the Lings, but there's so much damage here for the Adepts. Bearing in mind they 2-shot the Lings, but it looks like these Roaches and Lings are good enough to eventually clean this up. Ross really needs to find economic damage, and he's starting to find it.
It's not going to be enough at this stage, but we do see the Dark Templar Shrine building in the background of this, so he's just buying time and trying to confuse Seb here just to not expect the Dark Templar when they eventually come in. So normally with this build you would see a Robo with a Warp Prism coming in, but we don't have that this time. We're just getting these proxy Adepts come in from the left side of the map.
Yep. So this was a lot of Adepts to have gone down, and quite a large investment with the amount of gateways that he's built, and of course the Twilight upgrade and no third base. I don't think this is enough. Oh, actually, is it? I would say it's not enough economic damage, but RosscO is ahead in workers. And Seb is squeezing out the drones. So if Seb doesn't appreciate the Dark Shrine follow-up, then maybe he can take further damage. Of course, all the spores are still standing.
They're in place. They're ready to defend the bases. It's a question of whether we have no ability to morph oversource here, so the only detection is these spore crawlers. It'll be interesting to see if RosscO does maybe try and target down these spore crawlers with these adepts.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
cancels the shade though, so he's not going to go for that just now.
Nope. He's going to try and kite as best as he can. As soon as he gets off creep, this becomes a lot more viable. These roaches are doing a really good job of just picking off the adepts. They do shade up into the natural, but because the roaches are following, he is going to cancel that shade. He's still morphing in units, but you've got the adepts
the
here now.
are on the way.
Yeah.
They could just fight with the army here. There's no detection to help with the army.
There's no detection, and also just not enough. Seb is still building more units, but they're in production. They're not out here yet. Too many units are just being lost here for free, it looks like.
And in this kind of economic situation where the Zerg is...
He's going after the Spore! The Spore is being transfused, but it will eventually go down, and two Dark Templar are still in there, dealing so much damage. And it looks like the Queen is going to go down. Units are going to go down. There's no lair. Bear that in mind. There's no more detection at this third base. The third base is going to go down. And 4 DTs is so much damage going onto that base. The third base is completely forfeit now.
The economic damage inflicted at this point is too much.
This is starting to get critical now. Desolator is still 12 workers down, okay? So he's still at an economic disadvantage in a big way.
He's panic morphing a lair here. He simply doesn't have the resources to justify
he just looks
building a lair
flustered.
here.
He just looks completely flustered. Once again, he's been caught off guard, not necessarily by the first adept push, okay? Because it looked as though Bellator held that well. It's more just a follow-up, losing that spore crawler, losing the third base, and also eventually losing the army, having to rebuild it. But
he's caught these Archons off guard, morphing in here. I like that. It's going to help him a little bit. Oh, so he chooses to disengage here.
This is the mind games. I was going to say, this is so demoralising as a Zerg player when you know you're massively economically behind and you just see the Protoss drop a third base. Seeing the third base drop, Bellator might take his foot off the gas and just carry on droning up. That's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to stabilise economically.
Roy. There's so much more army, and it's just, the gap is just growing constantly now.
Yep. But once again,
is just droning.
It was a fake. He sees the army coming in. GG is called.
That is
2-0 for RosscO. Upset there in that group. But once again, RosscO just there with the mind games. Always unexpected.
Doing some builds that he doesn't necessarily do that often against him in custom games. He's just brought out something new.
Yep.
And Bellator just didn't prepare for it and didn't have the response required.
Building, both games, building the third base, cancelling it without vision, and then just storming.
Nexus.
Yeah, decoy Nexus and then storming the Zerg player. Phenomenal play. Very good strategy there out of RosscO. All right, so next game, I believe, is going to be Molten versus Fujumi, PvP. I think your speciality.
Perfect.
All right, so hopefully we'll get into that very quickly, okay? We'll take a 2-minute break, if that's all right. Cool, 2-minute break, and then we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.